In this video, we're going to talk about how private prisons make money. So hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you stay up to date on when new videos come out. The question, how do private prisons make money, might seem strange, but it is still a relevant question. However, a private or for-profit prison isn't different from a public prison. The only thing is that the former is managed privately and focused on making more profit. So here goes the all-important question. How are private prisons generating revenue? First, you need to understand that private prisons make money directly from the government. They also have legal statuses. They receive a certain amount, which is a stipend from the government, which covers the cost of housing or taking care of a specific number of inmates. For instance, the government might decide it is ready to pay $150 per inmate detained in a for-profit prison per day, and the for-profit or private prison may end up not spending close to that figure for each inmate. Instead, they may decide to cut costs and spend just $90 per inmate per day, thus saving a whopping $60 per day for each person under their correctional facility. Multiply that figure for 1,000 inmates held in a private prison, and you will see the vast amount these prisons are generating for their shareholders. So first, what's a private prison? The word private makes it look unique, but the truth is there's nothing special about these prisons. The only reason they are popular and are being patronized by the government is that the government thinks they are less expensive. A private prison might claim to house an inmate for $150 per day, while a public prison cost for one inmate may be as high as $200 per day. Seeing this difference alone, the government would want to consider striking a deal with a private prison because it seems like they will be saving a lot of money. Private prisons also claim to provide the same management and security as a public prison would, but despite these claims, in-depth investigations have proven otherwise. Again, private prisons are not built by the government. Such projects are funded by private individuals whose aim is to make a profit, like a business. And for an individual that invests his or her life savings in such projects, the ultimate focus would be profit. You cannot be expecting such a person to put the interest of the inmate first. Even if you're told that's how they operate, you should understand it's just the marketing strategy. So how did private prisons become so popular, especially in the United States? Don't be put off by the numbers of companies running private prisons. The key players might be few, but that hasn't changed the fact that the industry has been making a huge profit for its shareholders. The industry started back in 1984 and is now worth over $5 billion. You might be surprised at how private prison business grew so fast. But the question is, who has been patronizing them? The answer is simply the government, which has the money to spend. The for-profit prison business started at the state level, and the first ever private prison US started in Tennessee in 1984. The first ever company to run such business was the Corrections Corporation of America, which is now called CoreCivic. The fight against drug abuse took a new dimension. It was like an all-out war between law enforcement agencies and the masses, particularly those suspected to do drugs. More and more individuals were arrested and kept in government facilities. But it got to a point where the population was growing so fast that the facilities could no longer accommodate more prisoners. All these gave rise to private prisons established in the US, but there's more to it. A federal judge made a decree to stop Tennessee from accepting more inmates because of overcrowding. The judge's intentions to stop the admittance of more prisoners were in order, but the prisoners needed to be housed anyway. So that was an opportunity in the making. With private prisons lurking around, it was easy for them to seize these opportunities to make wealth for themselves. These private prisons made claim that they could provide the needed security, management, and match the public prison standards. Hence, they would be given a chance to operate. They also proven that they could run private prisons effectively with a few number of staff and save the government tons of money. And today, approximately 9% of the entire US prison system are housed in privately owned prisons. In short, you will also find over 75% of the entire immigrants whom the ICE detain in these for-profit prisons. So then what are the good and bad of private prisons? People have different views about private prisons since their inception and popularity. While some believe they are wise choices, others have contrary views. So let's put the issue to rest. We will take a close look at the pros and cons of for-profit prisons. So what's so good about private prisons? One, they're cheaper options for taxpayers. The government has several financial obligations to fulfill, so any opportunity to cut down costs is embraced with open arms. Private prisons seem to be much cheaper options for the government. The reason is that they can act swiftly to search for and embrace best practices without blowing their budget. The management can implement cost-saving measures very quickly. Number two, it benefits the local economy. It's when people are fully employed and busy for most of the day that might turn a blind eye to crime. So any opportunity to provide jobs for people in the community is a welcome development. Private prisons can positively impact their host communities economically. In addition to hiring workers, they tend to patronize businesses within the community. They aim to make more money, so they can't find them traveling 1,000 miles to get supplies for the prison. They have to rely on their host communities for most of the items they need. Number 3, private prisons are better at maintaining prison population. Most public jails are easily overcrowded, and this makes them difficult to manage. Inmates in these prisons could face unhealthy and inhumane conditions, which isn't proper. For instance, at the time, the operational capacity of the public prison system in California was 137.5%. That was the case until the Supreme Court ordered the state to reduce the population. However, such may likely not happen in a private prison because they have a reputation to protect. So subjugating inmates to inhumane conditions could create a bad image and even drive them out of business. But that's not the case. These prisons have better population control and can transport prisoners to any location whenever the need arises. Number 4, decisions are made and implemented faster. In a public prison, decisions are never made and implemented overnight. They have to pass through several offices and take quite some time before implementation begins. It could take over 4 years for the implementation of a single policy change in a public prison. The House needs to debate it, and after giving the nod, the president or whoever is at the helm of the affairs needs to sign the bill into law. But things are different in private prisons. Their management structure allows for quick decisions to be made and implemented. So then what is so bad about private prisons? For one, they are not safe for inmates and correctional officers. In private prisons, violence is on the high side. Inmates face several attacks from their fellow inmates, likewise correctional officers. Plus, they have a low ratio of officers to inmates and often rely on prisoners to protect themselves. Their focus is to lower the cost of operation and make more profit, so it's not common to find a large number of employees or correctional officers in such facilities. And number 2, they may lobby officers and influence legislatures. For the for-profit prison, anything to make more money is welcome, so there's a chance that they might lobby in some instances. The longer inmates are housed in their facility, the more money they are going to make. So there is a high chance they might influence most officers to issue more charges to offenders so they can receive longer sentences. Now, how private prisons make money is a relevant question, but the most important thing the government needs to pay attention to is the welfare of inmates. The for-profit or private prisons are out there for the monetary gain. That's their primary goal. So there's a high possibility that the safety of inmates might not be a primary concern. However, the scales have started falling off the eyes of most states. They are now paying attention to what most critics have been saying against for-profit prison businesses. So what are your thoughts? Are you for private prisons? Are you against private prisons? Leave a comment down below and let's get the discussion started. And as always, take care of your money. I recently finished Money, The True Story of a Made-Up Thing by Jacob Goldstein, and I included in this video as a way for you to expand your financial education outside of this channel. I'll leave a link to the book down below, and if you prefer listening to it on an audiobook for free, I'll also leave a link to a 30-day free trial to Audible. You can choose this book or any book to listen to, and even if you cancel before your free trial is over, you can still keep the book and listen to it whenever you want. Oh, and one last thing before you go. I created a course called Smart Money Parenting as a way to teach parents how to educate their kids about money. An early financial education is the foundation for wealth building, so give your kids a future they deserve. Use code MONEY20 at checkout to receive 20% off my master course. I'll leave a link to the course down below.